much consternation within communities, and it needs to end with us as an educated person to understand how it's supposed to
Okay,
work.
thank you for making that
Civic
statement.
lessons.
In your opinion.
Not my opinion.
I appreciate your statement.
Not my
I
opinion.
appreciate your statement.
Right.
Okay.
It's not my idea.
Mr. Hauser, yes, you're good.
I'm sure.
All right, next item we have under open discussion, we did receive an email after the agenda was set out by Mr. Bradley to touch base on several areas. There's not many that are policies, some of them may be operational type things. And the first one is school searches. Just for clarification purposes, school searches, does he mean like locker, car, personal belongings? You said schools, like school searches that's a very broad term. For example, right now, if your car is on school property, technically it can be subject to search.
Not only can it be subject to search, but I believe you can still do a urine test on individuals that have parking permits, correct?
Some districts do that as part of their.
Inside the policy, does our district allow that to happen?
We do not have any type of testing procedure. We do not. Any type of drug. Our
But
district-
you have the right to do it.
Do I have the right? I wouldn't have the right because it's not in the policy for drug testing. But no.
So you're saying that we as a district,
I
Sure.
personally do not have a right to drug test anyway.
so we as a district chose inside of our permit policy for people with permits that you've taken away.
Parking permit, just to make
Parking
sure.
permit, right? Taken away the rights of individuals to be drug tested. We removed that from our policy.
I don't know that we ever had any drug testing policy.
Then, from a state level, that authority is currently on the hands of your superintendent, our superintendent, and if we as a policy committee choose to restrict that, we should put it in writing as a policy.
So what are you
If we
recommending?
don't,
What do you recommend? So you went from school searches, so school searches, we're not talking about that one anymore?
We're talking, so that's
Because you jumped right from school searches to drug testing.
part of the rights to search an individual for a variety of levels, from peeking in their car, to opening their car, to giving that student a urinalysis test, or a drug screen would be the term, whether I believe blood or urine, looking in their locker, frisking them, looking in their purse,
So first of all,
looking in their purse,
Never
if it's
frisked.
their mother's purse,
they're never frisked.
or strip search.
They're not restricted, they're not frisked. Students are not touched,
Why do you believe that?
because I believe it.
Okay, and is that written in a policy that it's been restricted that they cannot?
It's
It's
by
procedures.
procedure.
That says they cannot do this?
But there's no formal policy, no.
Okay, so my opinion on this first line item, that these things, as a government, should decide by listening to the stakeholders, what their government, their local public government school, should have the right to do with their private citizens that are placed in the care of, in loco parentis, to this school. And we as a government should seriously sit down at a given time, preferably in the future, after some research was done by other members, so I'm not the only one, and review each and every one of these policies, because if we don't act transparently and teach these stakeholders, parents, and children what they can and cannot do, you will have chaos within your district. It adds to the consternation of your board meetings. We can remove them, Larry, by doing that. And that's what I'm looking at when I see school searches. All of those things fall within the rights of a district, a government school, for people that show up. And I believe, and I will check into this one as well, when you drive to a football game,
Yeah.
I think I think the same,
Sure.
and I think they can drug screen you when you walk from your car to that football stadium.
I'm not aware.
I believe
I
that's,
don't know.
I know it's for parking permit, I
Because
guarantee
it
that.
says that they can't, so we say that we can't, so that
Well,
means
there
you can,
is-
is that what you're
there
getting?
is-
No, the government would decide under what parameters would it
Should
require.
police be involved? I would guess they could do that.
You would think. So the point would be, the government can instruct your administration, your employees, as to what parts of the state, the government of federal has rules, the state has rules, and then the policy within the individual district can be a subset of those rules, that you can limit those rules because you're government.
So you're recommending that the board has the authority to drug test
The
employees?
board has the only authority the board has, they have to uphold the US Constitution first. They have to uphold the Pennsylvania Constitution second. And then they can limit the authority of their district
So you're,
third in policy.
So you're
And that's-
recommending- so
you
you're
can take that away from you.
you're recommending drug screening as an
I'm-
option, is what
I'm-
you're saying?
No, I'm recommending that we as a district recognize that since this school in this subset does not have due process in its protocol, that it gets removed, these rights, that the state has given it and the federal government has given it, and we as a government restrict it down to our level of comfort for our stakeholders after they have been reviewed and they understand what it is. Because the state gave a certain amount of power, the federal government gave this district a ton of power, and once they decide whether or not they want to be part of that, they can do it. That's states' rights. Now you have school rights. And if you decide that these are the rights, I think we should transparently announce what they are so they can use them. Because all it takes is one person to decide, I'm going to use this federal law, and he can actually administer that. Because he has it under his authority.
Mr. Kleber, and Ms. Howland would ask you and Mr. Hauser, that information process around issues is part of the student handbook?
There is.
And government controls that document as well.
Right, the board approves student handbook.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So for instance, on this search side, if you're on the street, Larry, you have the right of a Miranda warning, correct? You have the right to be silent, you have the right to observe, all those, welcome to the TV, right? You have those rights. As soon as you walk off that street and onto this property, you have, as a student, you have abdicated all of them.
Correct.
And many, hold on, and many districts, governments, have decided that they weren't comfortable with that authority and right. So they gave it back to the students, even though the state law and federal law said, if you wish, you can take them away. And then the local government said, yes, we understand we can take them away. We as a district are choosing not to take them away. And here is our Miranda warning to this individual.
Do you know why that is the case? Probably.
What? Yes, very much so.
Okay, why?
What's that? That you can take away the Miranda warning?
Do you know why we don't have to give that?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Because if someone's carrying a gun,
No, I'm asking why, I mean, that doesn't.
why do you have, because you're a parent. You're in loco parentis.
That's not all, no.
That's the main reason, because you're acting as a parent. Just like you can, your kid inside your house, they have no rights there either. They're your child.
And I know this will be hard to understand,
It's
but
not.
that's not really.
The only reason. I agree, there's more than one reason.
But the
Which one
reason
explains?
Let Mr. Kleber
The
talk.
reason is, we do not have arresting powers as school officials.
Currently,
We don't.
we're gonna hire a police officer.
But that doesn't, they have to follow the same rights as the police. They don't follow our guidelines.
They have both,
No.
yes.
No, they do not.
As a
No.
police officer, they
They
have the
are
rights of a
under-
police officer.
That's
Correct.
all they have. They are under the guidelines of any police officer, whether it's the borough, state, whatever.
So let's
They
try
do
this
not
on
have-
for size. If a kid is known to have contraband, does the administration have the right to search him, search his locker, and strip search
Yes.
him and frisk him without a Miranda warning?
Now, see, okay. no.
I'm asking, does he have that right?
First of all, Mr. Bradley, I'm not even gonna answer your question.
Why not?
Because you know exactly why. You
Why not?
throw these words out there. and
It's not words out there.
We have a right in good faith to search that student. Yes,
Correct.
we do. Yes.
You do. Now the question becomes, does the board, the government, like that, and the stakeholders of that government, like that right to be held by that school? And if they don't like it, they should be telling us, and then we should be limiting him. So if the stakeholders tell the government what to do, and then the government listens, and then administers within good faith what needs to be limited, That's the process. That process is broken currently. We need to fix that. That's our job. And that's what I'm advocating.
But that's different from your explanation of Miranda rights, warnings, and everything else.
Currently, you do not have that Miranda responsibility to give to a student. The board.
Or any
can-
individual in school.
But the board can give that responsibility to you by a motion and a passing of any 5 and a quarter. You can say, wait, without even having three board, without even having three
Mr. Council would
policy.
like to speak then.
But you, just make sure we understand the hierarchy.
Absolutely, if we pass something, it can be done, yes.
Done.
So as a parent, I'm 100% in agreement with what, the fact that it has to do to sustain order, 100%.
Okay, thanks.
But also as a parent, there would be a sense that under certain situations, we would have guidelines, a little bit better guidelines, because if you do look at the handbook, while it does vaguely give like what the students' rights are and things like that, it's not drawn out. And I know that a lot of schools are adapting different policies to address to what extent you do certain things. And I think that if we look at what other schools are doing, just to save ourselves.
We have.
That's a great idea, and that's usually what.
We do, and not only that, and not so much the policy, but also the procedures to follow.
To help
put the
everybody be. I mean,
Remove the ambiguity out of it and.
Because if I didn't do my due diligence after whatever.
That's fine.
I wouldn't know what was possible. And to be quite honest, like I said, I'm in full agreement and I support what the faculty does. And I think that in certain situations, there has to be, because Mr. Bradley threw out that word contraband, okay? We as parents and taxpayers would want to make sure that contraband, however we describe it, is not in our schools. It makes no sense to say, hey, hey, I don't care if contraband's in there or guns. So what the faculty is able to do under those circumstances should be what the federal government offers, and it's all the way up to, and I would agree with a strip search to find the crowd or contraband, absolutely, okay, but as a parent, I would want to know under what circumstances that is okay, and under what circumstances we describe contraband, and that's the only thing that was perplexing for me under the situation that we went through. And I know Sue my whole life, and I know everybody has the best intentions, and I do too. But my thing is, I think what Mr. Bradley was getting at is even though the government has an open blanket what to do, you have to, on a much smaller level, say, okay, we understand we have the ability to do this. Under what circumstances are we going to do this? We have the ability to lighten up in these situations, and under these situations, we're going to go to this extent. Under these situations, we're going to go to that.
So it's a procedural type.
Yeah, that's the only thing as a parent and as a taxpayer, I would want to make sure that we're protecting Sue and the rest of the faculty. Absolutely. And the only way you protect them, and just like in the union environment, the only way the management and union coexist is because there are distinct things that have to be done. And at certain situations, you're allowed to do this or that. And that distinction helps out both parties, whether it's union or labor or management or faculty or students or faculty and parent or faculty and taxpayer. If you have the defined lines, we're not putting these people out into a fog to do their job. I mean, that's unfair to them, and it's unfair to the people that they're overseeing.
But is that disconnect of expectation that we as government have a responsibility to make sure we provide him with the ability to do what he needs to do, but it's got to be done in the process. And I think that Miranda warnings, whereas they're not obligated, is something that government has the ability, and other governments in the state have taken the responsibility to provide to these kids. Because they didn't leave the United States of America and go into communist Russia walking onto the district property.
But
which
we,
is very well
but
right.
again, we're not arresting, we don't have arresting powers, Mr. Bradley. That's why we don't have to give Miranda rights. We collect the information, and there's times we give information to the police, and they feel there's not enough there to file any charges. That's the process. We can't say, we want this student arrested, or I want that person arrested. The police make those decisions. We collect the information, and then we go, from there. But
So let me ask you a question.
Miranda rights, we don't have arresting powers. The school police officers that are gonna be coming on board will have arresting powers. So if they get involved, then they have to follow the exact same guidelines that Lehighton Borough Police follow if they would come in here. So if the student was under 15 years old, 14 years old, they can't question that student without a parent present.
But currently, we, as a district, has done that.
Administrators we can,
Right.
right, but not the police.
The government might choose to recognize that that's not what these parents may not want to put their kids into, and we should ask them. And if they choose that, I don't want to be in that kind of situation, I didn't know I would put my kid into that, they should either A, know, and B, have a voice. And then the government can make a decision.
But again, when we're looking at, and I'm gonna say threats and those type of things, sometimes we don't have time to contact parents. Like, we're acting on information we get right away, and we start the process, we start doing the investigation. Unfortunately, at that point, the security of the students and staff is our priority, not contacting a certain parent because of a situation.
And when you talk
That's
about a threat,
what-
what kind of threats are we talking about?
Any kind of threat, even if it's a fact that we're hearing that there's gonna be a fight up in the cafeteria, we're gonna start questioning kids right away. What's going on? What do you hear? What do you know? Like, you're limiting to us. You are actually making our school district less secure by the recommendations you're trying to make.
Absolutely not.
Yes, you are.
If you're gonna question a kid about a fight that's coming up, should
In
that
2
kid,
minutes, in 1 minute, on
should
the
that
way.
kid or should that kid not have the right to remain silent and or answer or not answer that question?
But that's different than contacting the parent to see if we can
I
question.
didn't say that, I asked whether or not that
You
kid
just said we
has,
should contact the parent to see.
I said there's a guideline, and there's a rules, and every instance should have it predefined, so the expectations are there, just like Mr. Cameron mentioned, because without that, you're gonna have a bunch of loose cannons that frisk a bunch of kids for information that was given under duress by another individual.
First of all, there is no one being frisked.
Yes.
Maybe, okay.
Joy,
We're-
my
again,
mom was
we're
saying
gonna
that
have
we were
to
told
agree.
that, hold on, we were told, children were caught smoking in the boys' room, vaping in the boys' room, let's use it, right? They were called in,
Smoke in the bathroom.
whatever,
We clarify that.
vaping, yeah, vaping in the bathroom. They were called in, they were interrogated, questioned, whatever, investigated.
There's no interrogation going. Mr. Bradley, you would be surprised at the amount of information, the fact that we have the respect from the students and the information we get as administration and staff here. Many times there's no interrogation. When things happen, I even have the respect of the students to where they come and tell me stuff. A superintendent who's not even in the buildings. You have no idea the respect our administration and our staff here. These kids tell us everything. And some of the things we have to respond to are because it's threatening, because there's a possibility of someone in harm. We're responsible to contact children and youth many times for different information we get, whether it's true or not. They can come to me. If something happens and I don't report it, it's on me. If something comes to me and we don't do our good faith effort to investigate it, it's on us. And it's not the 1 or 2 people coming that are unhappy the way it's handled. It's the 800 who are mad because we didn't respond.
And I respect that, and I understand there's a process there. But there's guidance that government has to provide to you to be able to do that job. And to not provide that government, in our system of government, it's better to have no one guilty, right, that gets free, we understand that. But it's better to let guilty people go free than it is to chastise an innocent.
Again, you're using verbs that are not correct.
Why do you mean they're not correct? Here's what I was told, and tell me if I'm wrong.
Regardless, it doesn't matter.
Tell me if I'm wrong. And Gail, or Joy was there, right? We were told that 2 kids were caught vaping in the boys' room, They were brought in to be investigated, interrogated.
Question.
They were being questioned. They gave up 8 more students who were then searched, frisked, some strip searched. And of those, half of them.
So yes, to tell you you're,
Oh,
yes, you're
half of
incorrect.
them.
You are incorrect, it's using the word strip search, yes, you're incorrect.
Half of them were innocent of all charges and were never given the Miranda, were never given the opportunity to parent, and some of them were under the age of 18. And I was told some were in 9th grade, which puts them in that age group of
It could be, but
14, 15,
once
16.
again, it doesn't, again, there's no requirement for that. We do not arrest.
And I understand that there's no requirement. I'm suggesting that this board not let that process go forward without some guidance for the benefit of the stakeholders, and we should listen to what they want to say, so we should have the conversation and talk to them.
I think what I see as the disparity is that you talk about a situation where students are in danger, right? Like a fight might happen,
Well,
or someone,
or students could be in danger if they're smoking something, because we don't know what that something could be.
yes, but there's not imminent danger, they're not gonna get stabbed, they're not gonna get punched in the nose, so I think
There's
And
imminent.
they're not going to smoke it in front of the teacher, right? If they're in front of the teacher, they're not going
There's
to.
there's imminent danger, but sure, because some of those kids may not know what's in that thing that they're apparently smoking. There's imminent danger. There's imminent danger because of allergic. There's imminent danger when a kid hands someone Tylenol or ibuprofen because that's student. So
Yes.
unfortunately, we have to respond as in, yes, there is. Unfortunately, 95% of the time, it's probably not an imminent danger. Someone's gonna smoke it and not be allergic to something, you know, or what have you. But
I don't
we
think
still
that's
don't.
the school's responsibility. They brought.
It's on the property. If somebody does it on the property, we're gonna end up being
But
liable.
still, if you had, let's pretend you had someone that said, hey, this guy might be doing something, he might take ibuprofen, whatever you want to say. And you bring him into your office, and now he's under surveillance until either Miranda or parent shows up. What's the problem?
What if that student gave it to someone else and we didn't question them? And that student now had an allergic reaction in the bathroom and unfortunately is laying in the bathroom right now, we're not aware of it. Or at least didn't try to make the effort to be aware of it. We
You're
can throw
telling
these
me,
situations
you're
out
telling
there.
me that if you don't put this guy in the gulag, you might be preventing something else. You're doing this on an altruistic view of everybody's guilty until I prove them innocent.
No, we're doing it on a view, or I'm
Safety
talking
of
to
the
a student
students.
to say, okay, did you give it to somebody else? Did somebody else do this? Can we go find them and help them make sure they're okay?
And
That's really
unfortunately,
what it's about.
We've had it where kids did give things and not meaning any harm or anything, and there was reactions to them, whether it be.
Be a simple strawberry.
Yes.
Kids share
Peanut
strawberries
butter.
on the school bus. I've been called to an elementary bus because they share strawberries. Kid has a strawberry allergy, and I gotta respond because the kid's going into anaphylactic shock and the ambulance is on the way.
And we completely agree that's a victim. That
But
person's a
it's
victim.
sharing food. Like it's
Sharing
like
food.
sharing a drug at the height. It can be taken to
It could
any
be peanut
level.
butter. I agree, it could be peanut butter. But that's a victim, and definitely you should respond to a victim. We're not talking about a victim here.
We're trying to prevent a victim.
How are you preventing this?
Prevent a victim.
By doing what? Make sure anyone with strawberries isn't allowed to.
No,
No,
that
that's, see, that'd be silly.
yeah.
Mr. House.
You're saying this is very
Yeah.
true.
Mr. House,
Let's go
Mr.
back.
House.
Let's go back, because the way it went down is we got, the school bathroom smells of smoke. So something's going on in the bathroom, we need to investigate. I don't know if it's cigarette, I don't know if it's
Fire,
vape, I don't know if it's a
something,
fire, I don't know what it is. We're gonna investigate.
We're not contacting any
I was
parents.
told the teacher told you it was vaping because they smelled
No,
vanilla.
teacher said they smelled smoke in a bathroom.
Vanilla.
Teacher said they smelled smoke in the bathroom.
Go ahead.
Eric, we
You said it was vanilla.
we
Go
don't
ahead.
have
Go
to-
ahead.
And again, it's 2018, so again, like Mr. Cleaver said, depending on the device that is used and how the device is modified, the smell could be anything, and the substance could be something else.
Did she
That
call
is-
for a teacher?
I am speaking to Mr. Cleaver and Mr. Stover, giving input in that.
Okay.
That, I don't know if that is marijuana oil, I don't know what that is in there. Since input was asked, to survey the stakeholders in this community, I'll give my input as such. Again, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a parent, I was born at that hospital over there, I lived in this area for 35 years. So, that being said, I have two sons, both, one's involved in Boy Scouts, both are involved in martial arts, both are highly curious and like to share what they learn. What I worry about is this: if my son makes a mistake, brings his Boy Scout pocket knife to school to show his friends, and a student goes to that principal or teacher and says, you know, little Hauser has a knife, I would expect straight away that my son be questioned about that. I would expect straight away that if he, I don't know, has it in his sock, his pocket, or whatever, I would trust that administrator to say, please, I need to see your sock and pocket, whatever, because I want to make sure everything is okay. You know, as an employee of the district, I know the process by which people are hired, I know the clearance that has to go through, I know the education, I know the grad school administrator have to go through, where this stuff is brought up. So my input as a parent and a taxpayer is that if there is that reasonable suspicion there, you know, I would expect that, you know, a concern is dealt with in a manner that best supports the safety of others. And if that call came back in the negative, hey, Mr. Hauser, it's the principal, I want you to know, you know, we had this report, I had your son empty his pockets, I looked in his socks, there was nothing there, but I had this report. My response is, thank you, I will talk to him just to make sure that he said something, I don't know, and I would work collaboratively that way.
And even to go a little bit further with that, we have situations where things are apparently on the playground. So we will question 20 kids.
So what is the parameter that which you're doing that now? Who's making those decisions?
They're making it, the administration makes it.
Thank you. So let's go back to this event. The decision was made, 2 kids were smoking, it came in, they were questioned, they released names of 8 more, because kids talk, like you said, right? Without a Miranda warning. And then those 8 kids were brought in.
Details, I'm not sure where the FERPA line is at that point.
Okay, but they're not identified. But then 8 children came in, was what we were told in our meeting, that of those, they were frisked, some of them, their lockers were searched, and some were asked to remove some of their clothes. And from there, all done by a male principal, or vice principal, and a female principal with what we know of as male students, and right of those 8, how many were female?
So far, there's multiple incorrect assertions.
Okay, what were they? Clarify.
No, this is not.
Why are you saying it's multiple?
Because, again, Mr. Hauser, Ms. Holland, please don't respond to this and stuff that could go above and beyond what we're.
Above and beyond what? These are the persons that,
No.
what do you mean, no? If your district has strip search or search, you realize that these, Mr. Stern, do you realize our lockers don't have locks on them?
I do realize that, and if a student wants to put a lock on it, they can.
Okay, and then,
And they're advised to put locks on it.
And if there's a student in question, they're gonna be asked to remove the lock to be searched, yes.
Yes,
correct.
yes.
So what's the susceptibility, as Mr. Hauser expressed in that meeting, that people could put things in those lockers, and then he then has to decide whether it's really real or not real?
Yeah, I mean, that's new.
I'm sorry, I missed the question. Please.
So you mentioned in our meeting that I said to the student, you allowed him to look in your locker. Do you have a lock on it? Did you take the lock off, or did Mr. Hauser, like you said, have the right to cut the lock off? What took place? And the answer was, there is no lock. At which point, and I'll check the script, I said, hold on a second, you realize that you are allowing somebody to search a locker that you have no control over, that you now have full responsibility of.
Absolutely.
I agree. And Mr. Hauser's response was, what, am I naive? It's not the first time that's happened, which we agree. This obviously could have happened, correct? Am I paraphrasing?
I will not speak to a specific circumstance. What I will answer with is that argument is based on the assumption that whatever is in the locker, I would automatically assume belongs to the owner of said locker, regardless of whether there's a lock on it or not. I would just simply say that is not my standard procedure. Again, this is why I need the ability to ask questions, sometimes to multiple people to ascertain what went on there. Every situation is going to be under a unique set of circumstances. Have we opened lockers where the student says, yes, this piece of contraband is mine? Yes, that has happened, and consequences were issued. Has it happened where I opened a locker and the student says, that is not mine, I don't know where that came from? Yes, that has happened, and subsequent investigation follows.
But you also recognize that that student has abdicated all rights of due process when he walked on this property.
I'm not getting into that.
And you also recognize that you're not a police officer,
No, I don't.
okay? But you're exercising the rights of what a police officer would do,
We
minus
have,
the arrest
we have,
rights.
we have more rights.
Funny, right?
No, but we don't, no, let's set it out there.